In this report, I'm going to rely on some of my sources on Twitter, people who are living in Victoria and in Melbourne and have been putting some information together, which I've double checked. Some of it is speculative, some of it is completely sound. I've tried to double check everything I can as much as possible, and I've put this together. It's about the protest march. It's about what's happening during the curfew. It's about the COVID numbers. So we've tried to compile it all, put a small video together to show you what's going on. Firstly, we know that there's been a lot of deaths in care facilities in old people's homes. But the government has been very generous and has given an aged care support program which will reimburse eligible aged care providers for flexible expenditure that's incurred. So they've been quite generous in this, and this obviously will encourage the aged care facilities. This is the aged care support program, which the government announced, 52.9 million for aged care providers that have been directly impacted by COVID-19. So they won't be financially affected. In fact, they might actually benefit in some ways. The next clip I'm going to show you is part of a clip from somebody who lives near one of these aged care facilities, and they've actually gone to the facility and questioned someone and interviewed someone, and they've cast some doubts on the numbers of cases and the numbers that have appeared in the government, Victorian government statistics. Now let me just show you part of his video here.
This is going to be the most important video I think I have ever made. Please everyone, mirror, share this. This has to be seen by everyone. I'm going to expose what's been happening in Victoria. Today is August the 7th. This is the data as of yesterday, August the 6th in Australia, from the Department of Health, Australian Government. Just quickly roll something here. We got here 4.5 million people tested, 0.4% positive. From those positive, that's 19,000 cases, 247 deaths. So you work out 0.4 times, that's just over 1%. You multiply the two, we get 0.000 something. So it's virtually, you got very, very, very slim chance of dying from COVID-19, and this is in 7 months, whatever. 566 in hospital means nothing to me. 51 ICU means nothing to me. There's 7,000 ICU beds in Victoria, and this is Australia. 7,000, 4,000, whatever. There's thousands of beds, ICU beds in Victoria, let alone how many in Australia. But there's no overflowing in hospitals whatsoever. These are just normal people that have got the seasonal flu, which is miraculously disappeared. But what I want to get into, I forget about the figures here. As you know, they're all old, 20% in 90 or above. They faked a 30-year-old the other day. But anyway, here's the first wave. Beautifully goes up, beautifully goes down. You can't tell me that's not fudged. It's not up, down, up, down. Then we had a bit of a break here for a few months. Actually, it was stuck on 102 deaths for 5 weeks. No one died in 5 weeks in Australia, but they kept warning us there's a second wave coming. Just quickly over here, no deaths in the Northern Territory. Must be the place to live. How about everyone move there? How about everyone get out of the hellhole called Victoria? But we can't because we're held in like prisoners. Let's all move to Northern Territory where it's nice and warm and you're not going to get any viruses. Or stage 3. Back to stage 3. And yep, nice little increase. Few ups and downs, of course, but that's just to make it look like it's not fudge, which it is. So now I'm going to point out how they have done this. Let's go back to 29th of July. Like I said, today is the 7th of August. Just 8 days ago, coronavirus outbreaks in Victorian aged care homes reached 87 and state records second deadliest day. This happens to be a nursing home near my place. I've been there the last 5 days and a few days before that. I've never seen any of these people here. I have not seen any movement whatsoever. Hardly anyone around. Doors are closed, and I'll tell you why. This is all total bullshit, by the way. Let's go down here. There's this tiny 55 bed nursing home. At this time last week, there was 2 vacancies, so we had 53 people, and there hasn't been any people come in for quite a while. So we got 49 residents and 41 staff infected with coronavirus. So 49 of 53 tested positive, supposedly, and 41 staff in a 53 bed home. No way known you're going to have 41 staff in a 53 bed nursing home. I made a phone call the day or two after this, spoke to someone, and I asked them, how are things still running? How can you possibly be still running? Because everyone would be in quarantine. All these staff would be in quarantine. And her comeback was, oh, they've all come back from quarantine. I says, they can't. This only just happened yesterday or the day before. So she was lost for words. Whether she knew, I don't know. She actually controlled this nursing home, even though she didn't actually work there. But guaranteed, these people that run these nursing homes have been paid by the government, paid for the government to shut up, give them the cases, give them the deaths, because I'm guaranteed for every death, these nursing homes, sorry, every death that says COVID, they're getting a certain amount of money for, and even the cases. So here we got top of the pops, SGH Care Home in Ardea, 91. Amazingly, all these other ones underneath. So the bug just wants to attack nursing homes. Funny about that. Stay tuned because it gets better. So what happens 4 days later? Let's go to coronavirus update, Victoria, 3rd of August. Active aged care outbreaks. 106 cases all of a sudden. It's gone from 91 to 106. That's 15 more. So we assume that 53 of the patients are positive. And there's 53 staff. No way known, 53 staff. So who's looking after the place if 53 staff are all testing positive? How is this bug going from room to room when these old age people are in, they're virtually tied into beds, especially during this period of isolation? They're not getting out of beds. They're not mixing with anyone. How is this spreading when the staff have obviously got masks? Because, they should have had masks from day one. And I'll get to that in a second. But definitely they've been wearing masks for quite a while. So, what happened on this day, August the 3rd, I went down there. I didn't record this, sadly, because I already wasted my 20 minutes on interviewing someone else prior to this. A woman walked past us and had a mask on. It looked like she was going to walk into the nursing home. And I asked her simply, do you work here? She says, yes. She says, the thing's going normal. She says, yeah, pretty much. Okay. I said, actually, I didn't realise this. I read this after I spoke to her. So I said, there's 91 cases 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. And she, couldn't believe it. She said, oh, you're lucky to have 20 people work here. That's what she said. And I said, well, something's wrong here, 91 cases. And I said, have you tested positive? She said, no. So I must be the luckiest guy in Melbourne, talking to someone just walking to a nursing home and hasn't tested positive. How lucky is she? 91 cases and she hasn't tested positive. She said that she worked in the kitchen and the person that ran the kitchen tested positive. And when I asked her, well, how come if you were working with that person, you should be in isolation for 2 weeks, and had no answer to that. But what's happening, everyone? All these nursing homes, aged care homes, started testing here, told by the government to start testing here, whoever. As we know, the testing doesn't really matter because everyone tests positive. So they can't tell 20,000 people a day test positive. But sure, they know they can just use whatever figures. They don't want to go too high of cases because people, think so many cases, no deaths. They can get so many deaths, even though they're not COVID-19 because it doesn't exist. They can get so many and get pay for people's funerals, and subsidise nursing homes, 25,000 for each death, whatever. They can do so many. They can't risk people spilling the beans that you're telling me that grandfather died from COVID when we know full well, he was 99% dead before he went into the nursing home, and he died from heart attack. So this woman, kitchen hand, said we started 4 weeks ago. Wow, get ready for this now. So if you're thinking 91 was bad and then to go to 106 was even more absurd, 3 days later, August the 6th, what do we got here? Victoria's biggest outbreaks. Estia Aged Care, Ardea, 144 cases. All these other ones have jumped up as well. Everything that's happening in Ardea is happening in all the others. The same thing, lies, 144 cases in a 53-bed nursing home. And it's all happened in a week. And it's still running like normal. They're not letting anyone in. Of course, they don't want anyone to see what's going on.
So I went and checked on these numbers because I thought that it seems highly suspicious to me as well. So I thought, well, what can I do? So I went and looked at a recent report into residential aged care, which had given staffing level ratios, and they compared them with international and national benchmarks. So this was part of the Royal Commission that was very recently held, and it was held into aged care quality in September 2019. So it's pretty recent. On page 29 of this report, we're given the ratios. We're told that the legislation specifies there's a 1:7 nurse to resident ratio on the morning shift, a 1:8 ratio on the afternoon shift, and a 1:15 ratio on the night shift. The legislation also specifies that there is one nurse in charge during the morning and afternoon shifts. So there we have the ratios of care. So you can work that out now quite easily. A 1:7 means that on 53 patients there will be 7.5 nurses on the first shift. That's the morning shift. A 1:8 is 6.6 nurses on the registered nurses stroke carers on the afternoon shift, and a 3.5 nurses etc. on the night shift, which adds up to 17.6 registered nurses. So in Germany, in the same report, it tells you that in Germany there's 37 care staff per 100 residents, 37 staff per 100 residents. So there's roughly half that amount for 50. So for 53 beds, you'd have 19.6 in Germany. That's the average in Germany. You'd have 19.6. And Australia has based its report on what happens in countries like Germany, because they have a pretty high standard of care. So let's say there's 17 registered nurses there. Let's say we've got 2 kitchen staff, 2 cleaners. It's only a small residential home with 50 people. 17 registered nurses, 2 kitchen staff, 2 cleaners, 2 maintenance staff, and let's even say we've got 17 care assistants. Now that would be well staffed, well overstaffed. So we're gonna be really on the lenient side. If we take all of that, we end up with something like 40 people over 3 shifts. 40 total staff. That's not just care staff. That's kitchen staff, the maintenance staff, everything. 40 staff. Then we'd still have 53 staff unaccounted for. We'd never make the number that they're saying. We'd never make the numbers that they're saying. It's just impossible. So they're lying. It's quite clear they're lying. You can't make those numbers from the aged care facility. You just can't. So PK is right. And he interviewed, at the end, he interviewed, I've edited the video because I can't show everything, but right at the end, he interviewed a lady, a young girl that worked there. She was from Colombia. She'd only been there 5 months. Her English was not 100%, but he gathered from her that, from as far as she was concerned, there was nothing major happening there. So they're lying, and they're paying these homes. They're paying these homes a huge amount of money as compensation for these so-called COVID patients. It's ridiculous. It's a bald-faced lie. There are, of course, people dying. I mean, people die all the time. There's people catch flu. People are old. As you saw, 20% of the deaths are over 90. I mean, these are 90-year-old people. They're going to have some sort of ailments at that age. They're not going to be in perfect health, are they? So these are old residential care homes, and you've got people over the age of 70, over the age of 80, 20% over the age of 90, and they die. And when they die, they get put on the death certificate that they've died of COVID, just like they're doing in other countries. Have a look. I'll show you. This is the guideline for certifying deaths due to COVID. And it's published by the Australian Bureau of Stats. It gives a guide to what to record in the medical certificate. We'll just go down here and have a look. It says the new coronavirus strain should be recorded on the medical cause of death certificate of all decedents where the disease caused or is assumed to have caused or contributed to death. Now that covers anything. Assumed to have caused, contributed to death. In other words, it didn't kill them. It didn't kill them, but it might have contributed to death. So they might have had a heart attack, but they could say, well, he was a bit off colour. He was 90 years old and he had a runny nose. Yeah, well, he died of a heart attack, but the COVID contributed to his death. So we've established beyond a doubt that they're lying. The numbers are being fabricated, are being pushed up, and the media is complicit in it because they are putting out fear porn. So they're just fabricating this scamdemic. That's all you can call it, a scamdemic. A scamdemic that is ruining people's lives and has caused up to date 1,200 suicides. More people have died by suicide than have died from COVID. So the question is, why? Why are they doing this? Why are they wanting to destroy everyone's lives, everyone's business? Why are they keeping people locked up at home, under curfew, under house arrest? What's the point? What's the point? What are they doing? You might ask yourselves, what are they doing? So we can only speculate. We can't prove anything, but we can speculate. We are going to speculate that the reason they want you locked in your home is because they're doing something during the time that you're under curfew and that they don't want you to see. They are basically building your prison. If we look at the website Victoria Traffic, we find that there's quite a bit happening in Melbourne and in Victoria at the moment. For example, if we click on this, we see that there's a heck of a lot of roadworks going on. which is quite exceptional. And we'll just pick one at random. There we go. This one is has got activities that start on the 29th of July and they finish in September. And just pick another one at random. Again, this ends in September. Other one ends in September. Ends end of August. But it started earlier on in the year. That doesn't mean they continuously work on the same spot, but again, another one finished on the 30th of the 6th. So these are all not happening simultaneously, but over this period. Again, this one ends in September. Now, the large amount of roadworks that are happening in Victoria obviously have to do with Victoria's big build, which is the winter major works, which was scheduled. And if you have a look, I'll just zoom in here a bit. Upgrading crossings, upgrading tram lines, train lines, etc. If you go here, you look. There's all sorts of closures, all sorts of rail lines that are upgraded, level crossings that are upgraded, and so forth, according to this. So everybody's under curfew, and while they're under curfew, because of this deadly disease that's ravaging the old people's homes, the council workers are merrily digging away and making all the level crossings safe. That's what we're supposed to believe. Nothing to see here. Move along. Nothing to see here. We're just upgrading all the roadworks and the tram lines. This is the big winter, the big winter build, all planned. It's all on the website so you can see it. Don't be worried about it. Yep. We might be working at night sometimes when you're locked up under your curfew, but nothing to worry about because council workers don't catch COVID. They don't catch COVID. And it's not just council workers, it'll be private companies employed in doing some of this work, of course. But they don't get COVID, so they can just carry on with the job while you're all locked up in your homes under house arrest. Nothing strange about that. Nothing at all. Nothing to see here. Move along. And while you're locked up in your house under house arrest or under lockdown or whatever you want to call it, there's quite a few flights arriving from China. I don't know whether you think that's suspicious or not, because I thought we were being very careful about external flights with all this terrible disease that's spreading everywhere, but apparently we're still getting flights coming in from China. So there must be a lot of Chinese students wanting to study in Victoria. They must like being locked down and quarantined. All these people arriving from China. It doesn't bother them. They're all flying in. Have a look. There's been a lot of flights coming in from China. We can see here there was one Saturday morning from Guangzhou. If we go up here, we can see flying in to Melbourne from Guangzhou. Here we see the plane going over Indonesia, the Philippines, and past Papua New Guinea, and diagonally across Australia to Melbourne Airport, Tullamarine Airport, and landing Saturday about 8 o'clock on the morning. And there's been one a day at least, landing every morning. No, I can't verify the provenance of this picture, but it's supposedly showing what's been flying into Melbourne. And if we have a look a bit closer, we can see that on the boxes it says MEAS, MEAS, which is related to sensory equipment, which comes from China, and we'll show you that in a moment. It's also, and this is all speculation, but the fact that the cameras at the airport were down is also highly suspicious. You can make of that what you want, but maybe we're putting pieces together that aren't there, but there's definitely something going on. It's a Chinese company, MEAS Sensors, and it's got its address originally in China, and it's obviously all over the world now. It's got branches everywhere, but it's originally a Chinese company, and it makes specialty measurement instruments to do with pressure and smart cities. Basically everything you need for a smart city, you'll find it here. There you go. It's even got branches in the US. It's called TE, creating a safer, sustainable, productive and connected future. There you go. It's all about connecting, isn't it? There you go. Connecting the smart city, everything measured, everything sensors for temperature, for facial recognition, you name it.
Former Premier Jeff Kennett says Daniel Andrews has sold Victoria's soul by signing up to the Belt and Road Initiative. On a combative day on Spring Street, some MPs were accused of borderline racism. State political reporter Andrew Lund.
As Premier, Jeff Kennett trod the well-worn path to China, but believes the Belt and Road Agreement is tantamount to Victoria selling its soul.
It was unnecessary, and certainly by not signing it, we're going to be no worse off.
He's entitled to his view.
Well, I don't know about you, but I find it highly suspicious, and I find Daniel Andrews quite creepy, to be honest. I think he's gone behind your back. I really do. Now I want to have a look at the protest that was held in Melbourne and how this massive protest was treated by the police and by the media.
By Victorian authorities were linked to one of the protesters at the rally. There have been reports one protester at the rallies worked at an H&M store for 2 days after the rally, but it seems that some concerns at the federal level here around this protest are being borne out. We know they said that it would be 14 days after the rally before it was established whether or not there'd been a possible spread at the rally. And look, that's up to Victorian authorities eventually to explain, but the number of cases in Victoria kind of speak.
Sorry about that. I showed you the wrong footage there. I showed you the footage from the Black Lives Matter rally. You know, the rallies that's, you know, been happening all over the world and have been funded by George Soros. You know, the ones that were allowed to be staged by the police, and that thousands of people gathered in the middle of Melbourne. No, the rally I'm talking about, the protest against house arrest and fascism and lockdown, involved one asthmatic man. Yep, that's right, one asthmatic man. And for that, they brought police out on police horses and all the camera crews. Yep, that's right. The Keystone Cops came out. It's a right farce. Look how they treated him.
Here we are, and it's all going to happen. Just got to turn this camera around somehow. Yeah, here we go. Alrighty. Off we go.
Just like a giant rave.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. Here's the beautiful Jackie. Look at these gorgeous creatures. Beautiful. Beautiful. Someone's already watching. Woo! What a lovely day. Helicopters. Oh, there's the police. How are you? Mate, that was very interesting. They walked straight past us. Hey?
We're just going to walk past.
Yeah. We're going to Parliament. And, wow, look at this.
Horses, at least there's some nice things in the world.
Yeah. Gee.
I love how
Look at these beautiful horses.
like, oh my God, Quinn!
Beautiful. Hi, how are you going?
Can you tell me why you don't have a mask on today?
I've got asthma.
Okay, do you have a medical certificate?
Yeah.
Can I see?
Sure.
What's the speaker today?
Oh, we're coming to have some fun.
What do you mean by fun?
Well, you know, it's a nice day and
Yeah.
all that. I just get my stuff out. Well, we heard something. Here's some documents.
What's this one? So is this that's the medical certificate?
Well, they're from the hospital.
Yeah, yep. No, perfect.
I need a bit of help here.
Can you put the phone? You should be able to.
Yeah, well, we've got to take record. You know, we've got to have your names and everything.
There's plenty of
You know, so.
You've got a whole lot there. What's that?
I have. There's St. Vincent's.
So this gentleman and I have met before.
Yeah.
At a protest at the Flemington Flats.
Yeah.
So I'm forming the opinion that you're here to protest, and also I'm forming you've got yourself an amplifier there, so you've got permission to play in the CBD.
Okay.
And I've got a member from the City of Melbourne here. He's going to have a chat to you about your amplifier.
Right.
I'm actually going to tell you now. I need your identity. You got that?
Sure.
So is your first name Solon? Is that correct?
Salahin, yeah.
Solon. What's your date of birth, Solon?
25/3/44.
344.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you just to collect your things. We're going to give
Yeah.
you a direction to move on, okay?
Sorry?
We're going to give you a direction to move on. Move away from
Really?
Yeah.
Gee. All right. Well, I'll do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problems at all. So you can just collect
All right.
your things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thanks. This is from Berlin. That's from Berlin. They had 2 million people protesting against this absolute scam. All right. Well, thanks a lot.
You want to head that?
I thought I'd just walk down there too.
Where's your car?
I'm going down there.
Would you like? Let's go this way.
Sorry?
If you want to go like this way, just because I saw you come this way.
Yeah, I know, but I've been walking around the block. Am I?
You're going that way.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Off you go. Move.
So-
Otherwise you'll be arrested. Move.
Will I? Okay.
Get moving.
Can you
Keep
stop
going.
pushing?
Just keep going.
Can you stop pushing?
You keep moving. You've been moved. Told to move.
You guys are so rough.
Get moving.
Can I put my bag on my back for God's
moving.
sake? You know
You've
what?
been
Are you
told.
human beings or what?
Yep. Get moving. You've been told. Now move on.
Now stop being so naughty. Look at this. Look at this. Shocking. Absolutely shocking.
So what's going to happen?
Yeah, sure.
Turn it off or it'll be seized.
There you go.
Off you go.
Thank you. Alrighty. Ah! What's happening?
Peter, isn't it? I've met you before.
Sol.
You're the author. Yes,
Sol.
Sol. I've met you.
Yeah.
We did the anti-vaxxer.
Did we?
Yeah, we met.
Well, I haven't shown you the full clip, but they ended up giving him a fine for his loud music that was disturbing the peace. They're just absolutely pathetic. You know, an old man who's got asthma making a point about the emperor's got no clothes, because that's what he said in the end. He said, it's like the little boy that pointed out the emperor's got no clothes. And the emperor has got no clothes because they're telling bold-faced lies, and the police are they're just thugs. They're just fascist thugs. It's absolutely disgusting. I'm absolutely disgusted at how they can not protect the rights of ordinary people and go along with this absolutely crooked, corrupt politicians. We're supposed to live in a democracy, but we don't live in a democracy anymore. Anyone who thinks we live in a democracy is wrong. Did you notice how they asked him questions about being an anti-vaxxer as he was walking away? And the cameras that were there, they engaged him, and there were a load of cameras there from Channel 7 and Channel 9. And I'll show you in a minute a little bit about Channel 7 and Channel 9, because I'm not finished yet. I'll show you. Look how Channel 7 reported it. The anti-mask rally, the organizer of the protest was fined and told to go home within seconds of arriving at 7 News Melbourne. Yeah, he was fined, all right, but he was fined for playing some music. That's what he was fined for. So this asthmatic guy, accompanied by about 3 women, you know, was seen as a threat to law and order. Such a threat that they need 3 policemen on horses and about 10 coppers all masked up with their frigging guns and everything else, and telling him to go home because he's such a threat to their lie. One old man with asthma, pointing out their lies, and they send him off home. That's the state that we've come to. Look at them. Look at them. They should hang their heads in shame. They should hang their bloody heads in shame. And yet they let a BLM riot protest go through the centre of Melbourne, and yet they come out in force for one old man. Pathetic. Then Channel 7 put another fake story up about a man that was arrested. The organiser was arrested and fined at the lockdown protest. Oh, this is not even the guy that so-called organised the protest. This is somebody else. And he's got a mask on. So how can it be an anti-mask, anti-lockdown protest? It's just pathetic. Don't forget that this Channel 7 is the same channel that used footage from 4 months ago from Italy to claim that the hospitals were at breaking point. This is the footage. They've got rid of it since because, you know, they were found out. But this is what they're doing.
More tonight about the unprecedented strain the pandemic is putting on our hospitals, with doctors and nurses working 12-hour shifts without a break. Medical professionals say they'll reach breaking point if the number of positive cases keeps rising.
Although our healthcare workers are under immense pressure.
Oh, that is scary stuff. That hospital looks packed to capacity, no more free beds. And if you or your loved one are in Melbourne like me, that could really concern you, right? Well, actually, nah. Turns out that footage is not from Australia, let alone Melbourne. It's from a 4-month-old Sky News International report.
They're fighting a war here and they're losing. The sheer numbers of people succumbing to the corona.
Look at this. George Soros owns Channel 9. He bought it 6 years ago. There you go. Billionaire investor George Soros is understood to have bought 6 million to 8 million of shares in Channel 9. So he's a big shareholder in Channel 9. So let me sum up for you where we are right now. Number one, we're being lied to. The numbers are being inflated. It's one big fat lie. and people are being made afraid, being pumped full of fear porn by the TV stations that are lying all the time, because the media are owned. They're owned, and we know who owns them, don't we? So they're owned, and they lie all the time. They keep the fear and the terror up, and you've all sat around like complacent sheep, frayed, shivering at home, waiting for your vaccination. In the meantime, your businesses are ruined. Businesses that maybe 1 or 2 generations have built up have been absolutely ruined. And you've got your jobs are gone, but you're quite happy to get your handouts. But do you think that's going to go on forever? Andrews has already told you there's going to be meat shortages. The abattoirs are shutting down. There's going to be food shortages. Mark my words. This is just the start of trouble. And you've been compliant with all this. You've not objected, and you let an old man with asthma protest for you. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. So gullible, so easily fooled, and so gullible. You deserve what's coming, and there's going to be a lot of trouble coming, I'm telling you, and it's not going to have anything to do with COVID. Look what they're doing behind your back. And if you think Scott Morrison is not in on it, then you can think again, because he could rein Andrews in quite easily. Morrison himself and his Chancellor, Frydenberg, or should I call him Freudenberg, with his false cough when he pretended he had COVID. Yeah, we all fell for that one. They're just disgusting creatures. They're disgusting creatures. And you're going to end up in prison with no freedoms. Vaccinated every 3 months. Yeah, because it's coming. It won't be just a one-off vax, because the damn thing won't work. You'll be vaccinated every 2 or 3 months. And who the hell knows what those vaccines are going to do to you over the long term. Yep, you're going to be vaccinated. You're going to be have permission to do anything. You've got cameras following you around everywhere. You're going to have your temperature taken. You're not going to be able to travel. Your life's over, basically. It's like living in prison. You might as well go to prison. You might as well protest and go to prison. But where are all the people with guts and gumption? Where are all the young men? The men that stormed the beaches at Anzac? They'd be ashamed of you. They would really be ashamed of how you behaved. You've just laid down and rolled over in fear. Pathetic. Really pathetic. Let me remind you of what these lads did.
Get away! Get away! Get away! Urgent message! Get away!
If this goes on almost indefinitely, then it's not about closing businesses for a period of time, it's closing them for good. If this goes on almost indefinitely, then it's not about closing businesses for a period of time, it's closing them for good. If this goes on almost indefinitely, then it's not about closing businesses for a period of time, it's closing them for good.